Hello, dear colleagues. I thank you from the bottom of my heart that you have found the opportunity, some even the courage, to come today to hear what I want to tell you, because much of what you will hear is unknown to you. Dear colleagues, brothers and sisters, it has become known that my husband Viktor Medvedchuk has been detained by the security service of Ukraine. I would like to emphasize some details. Viktor Medvedchuk is a doctor of juridical science, professor, academician, an honored lawyer of Ukraine and current deputy of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, so his status falls under the law on parliamentary immunity. The Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine did not deprive him of this right. In fact, it was taken away. Viktor Medvedchuk is one of the main leaders of the second largest political party in Ukraine, which managed to get more than 13%, which is almost 2 million votes. It is no coincidence that the authorities, led by Zelensky, began to organize a prosecution against Viktor Medvedchuk precisely in 2021, when his party, Viktor Medvedchuk's party, began to build support with an average poll result of 18 to 22%. Such figures certainly became a real threat to the current government in the future elections. Viktor is a strident critic of the Ukrainian policy pursued by President Zelensky and his government. And realizing their inability to compete with Viktor Medvedchuk in the legal field, they began political persecution. The so-called evidence of the fabricated cases against Viktor Medvedchuk turned out to be fake, which was established by a number of international forensic investigations. No accusations other than a desire on Zelensky's part to destroy a political rival were made. Instead, unlawful house arrest and numerous threats to the life of Viktor and our entire family continued. On the 27th of February, lawyer Cherednichenko stated that her client was moved to a safe place in Kiev, where he continued to carry out the procedural obligations imposed on him by the court. The Prosecutor General's Office of Ukraine and the Security Service of Ukraine were notified about the real threats to my husband's life. In my opinion, the absence of any proven accusations and the impossibility of an objective investigation of Viktor Medvedchuk's case prompted the security service to fabricate his escape and arrest him. It is important to state that in the Ukrainian power hierarchy, the SBU unit is under the direct control of the President of Ukraine. These facts together create a very disturbing pattern regarding the treatment of my husband, knowing Zelensky's desire for reprisals against the political leader of the opposition. Just listen carefully to what Vadim Denisenko, advisor to the head of the Interior Ministry, said the day after Viktor's detention on the 13th of April at 7:15 a.m. on ICTV channel. Quote, "To hold the fastest possible court session, trial, to give him an appropriate term, to beat certain testimonies out of him. I emphasize," he said, "beat certain testimony out of him and after that exchange him." Quote. End of quote. This statement proves the desire of the authorities to use prohibited physical methods to influence Viktor in order to obtain the statements they need. In other words, they are going to or have already tortured him. Currently my husband's whereabouts are unknown to us, which makes it impossible to provide proper legal protection and proper medical care. Now my father, as an 82-year-old man, has been trying to find Viktor for 2 days without success. He's been going to all the authorities, detention centers, prisons, and he's looking for him, but everywhere they say they don't have him. We have serious reasons to believe that the SBU unit does use torture to get the desired testimony from political prisoners and political undesirables. This reasoning is based on the facts, as well as established by several personal testimonies of Viktor Vladimirovich's employees who were detained in late February and early March. Many of them report brutal physical torture. These people are willing and ready to provide detailed information about their time in the security services, but while in Ukraine, they are frightened and psychologically broken as individuals. It is also important to note that, in connection with the detention of Viktor Medvedchuk, 2 photos of him and 1 video of his employee were made public. I request you to look very carefully at these photos. One of the pictures shows no traces of injuries, the second one shows large bruises, which they did not try to cover up with hair. This means that these photos were taken at the beginning and during the interrogation. No doubt he was beaten already in the first hours after his arrest. In the video of his employee, we also see blue swollen ears, which is also an indicator of physical abuse and beating testimony out of him. I believe that this is unacceptable in relation to anyone. Unfortunately, the universally recognized Declaration of Human Rights in Ukraine has not been working for a long time. So I appeal to everyone who can hear me, I appeal to everyone who can read this, as they write in social networks, repost it as much as possible. I am asking for help in identification of my husband's location, I am asking for help in stopping the physical and psychological torture. I am asking for help in providing medical care. I am asking for help in ensuring the unimpeded arrival and safety of Viktor Medvedchuk's legal representative, lawyer Bertrand Malmendier, a French and German citizen, for a personal visit in order to legally defend my husband. I appeal to independent activists and journalists to try to find and personally visit my husband. I can't do it myself. Because of the death threats that keep coming at me. Once again, now I am focusing on the unprecedented, blatant lawlessness in my country. And if you represent a free media that brings democracy to the world, you should broadcast it. I will end with a quote from the Psalms of David that my husband would say today, if he were here. With words of hatred they surround me. They attack me without cause. In return for my love, they accuse me, but I am a man of prayer, they repay me evil for good, and hatred for my love. Quote. If my husband Viktor Medvedchuk is even alive, I am sure that he will continue to fight for every Ukrainian, so that all Ukrainians can live in peace and harmony. If someone thinks that being the main opposition politician under the current or previous government in Ukraine is easy and not dangerous for life, I assure you, he is mistaken. He has always been in their crosshairs. But Viktor is inflexible, I believe, and I will always believe in him. That's all I wanted to say right now, because right now it is the most important thing. You've heard everything, then you decide for yourselves whether to write about it, tell about it, or sound the alarm about it. It's not just about my husband, it's not just about one man. It's about the people who voted for him, which he still represents, who are millions of Ukrainian citizens. And it's also about the thousands of political prisoners who are in incomprehensible SBU's prisons today. Thank you.